my channel, or welcome to my channel, The Sun, where we're always working towards something greater. So on my channel, we talk about spirituality and personal growth. I make these videos to document my own personal growth and also to show you guys and teach you guys what I'm learning along the way. And today's topic, I wanted to talk about, this is part of spirituality, but it's also part of just personal growth, where you kind of want to work on yourself. You have a higher goal that you're trying to work towards. And it's very important to, with these times, there's things that you have to learn in order to make these differences and changes for yourself. And so the topic today is that I wanted to talk about what kind of my personal struggles of what I have that I can give as examples to you of things that you maybe struggle with, as well as telling you kind of what I've learned and how to maybe curb some things. And the specific thing that we're going to talk about today is changing personal behaviors, changing attitudes, changing things to make yourself a better you. So I guess the first thing that I want to start out by saying about behavioral changes and things like that is that a lot of the time when we're talking about a behavioral change and something that we feel like is a problem in our lives, a lot of the time it's more of a problem than just a one particular thing. A lot of the time these problems that we feel like we have are a combination of things. So for me, an example is I'm personally working on right now making a lot of changes for myself as far as getting things done with tasks, things that I need to get done, and my personal health, as well as my personal goals. All of these things for me struggle right now, and the particular things that struggles is when there isn't a specific person that's relying on me or a specific time frame that I need to get things done. I often find myself procrastinating and I don't do it. Now I've kind of visited on this in other videos that I've talked about me battling my self-discipline and anxiety issues, which are still very much valid things. Some people, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like people that work on these behavioral changes, it's going to take quite a bit of time. So don't give up on yourself just because things aren't working out as maybe fast as you want them to be working out. You just kind of have to keep working towards those things and trying to make the changes, because a lot of these things are things that we have kind of become a part of us and are part of who we are and the way we react to things and the way we've survived all this time. So it's going to take time to make those changes. And the biggest things that I can say about making these behavioral changes is I believe that it's two things. One is making the behavioral changes and by changing your mindset. And the second is by taking action. So those are the two things that you have to really work on and change, I believe. So when I say that there's multiple issues that lie in this stuff, it's not usually just one thing. I mean, it can be, but it's usually kind of like a plethora of things. So it can be anxiety, depression, self-discipline, procrastination, traumas, things like that. It's all kind of clustered together that creates one big issue of why you don't do the things that you want to do or maybe what you want to work towards. For me, I have a lot of anxiety, and I know that that's a huge thing that a lot of other people experience as well. I'm going to try and kind of explain my personal anxiety feelings, and I'm going to go ahead and say right here that some of the anxiety that I have over these things don't even really make sense. I don't really even understand it myself, but I've realized that I'm very good at kind of finding the problems or the things that I feel like are the problems of what's holding me back. I'm just not very good at finding the solutions to these things or keeping my action with making these things happen. So what I feel like I've discovered about what my anxiety is that holds me back with these things is It might sound like it completely makes no sense. But let's just take an example here that I need to get my 401k moved. Okay, because that's a real problem that I'm having. I literally have put it off for years to get this moved, and it's not good, but I've done it. I have done it, and I need to do it. It is literally on my to-do list of things that I need to get done, and I've put it off. I've put it off for such a long time, and even now when I'm trying to do it, it sounds like such a simple task. It really does, that it's not hard, that I should just do it. But what happens to me is that, okay, so I've got this 401k that I need to make plans for. Well, also, let's say I have to work the next day, and I should make a phone call to get the thing set up, to make an appointment to do it. Well, okay, but then I write down to do it, and I put it off, and I decide not to do it because I have a stress about doing the thing the next day, like going to work. And I figure to myself that I have enough that I have to do that's going to cause enough stress that I don't want to do whatever this other thing was that I needed to do, and isn't time related. It's not tied to time, and I can kind of do it whenever I want. So instead of doing it, it gets pushed off again and again and again. And this is a repeating process with me. And often there's something that's coming up that's stressing me out, like going to work the next week or something, and I will literally feel like I'm running out of time to just relax and enjoy myself, like over the weekend, or if I'm off a certain day, or whatever the task, whatever the thing is that I need to do that's coming up, that's stressing me out and giving me anxiety. And so I get upset when I have to do other things that I didn't have to do, and it's just a vicious cycle, guys. Like, I can't really explain it. I just feel like I need to relax, and any time that's exerted on anything other than me getting to have my relax time impedes and is an inconvenience, and it bothers me. And then I feel like my time to recoup and relax is being taken, and I just don't have enough time, and the clock is ticking, and so that's why a lot of the time it gets put off. Now it's other things too, because let's say, for instance, with this 401k that I need to get moved, this is where I say that you might have trauma. Like, I kind of have trauma with this situation, that a lot of the time when I have a task that I need to do, it sounds simple, and I think that I get upset because so many times this has happened in the past, where I go out to set out to do a certain task, like moving my 401k, and I go into it expecting it to be simple and easy and done, like just go in, give them some papers, talk to them, have them do their thing, make their calls, get it transferred, the end. But a lot of the time I get triggered, guys. I get triggered because these small things that I expected to just be one little task that I already stressed about for so long and took me so much effort and energy just to work up to do this thing that I expect to be minuscule and not take a whole lot of time, I, in the back of my head, worry that there's going to be more, because usually something that happens with this is it turns into an explosion of tasks that I didn't expect. I'll go in and they'll be like, okay, now you need to call this person, and you need to call that person, and you need to do this, and then you need to come in 3 more days, and we'll have you fill out these papers, and you need to go down to this building and get this paperwork. And it just, guys, it's triggering. It is triggering for somebody like me that especially has anxiety and gets triggered by these things, that it's so hard to do like one little task. And now, instead of one little task and whatever work I have ahead of me that's stressing me out or whatever, it's that with all these other explosion particles of all these other little minuscule other tasks that have to get done. And if you can't tell, it works me up. It works me up and it stresses me out, and it's hard for me to deal with. I know it sounds stupid. Now to kind of get into, you understand now what I'm going through, what my mind process goes through every time I deal with this. And maybe this is what you also struggle with as well. Maybe you have that trauma of realizing these things happen in the past and you get triggered, and so you straight up avoid it, like I kind of do with a lot of things. It's not your fault that you've experienced these things and you've experienced the traumas, and that you kind of have this expectation. That's what your brain does. So kind of to explain a little bit about what happens, and I've watched some videos on other people explaining this stuff as well. I watch videos about how to stop procrastinating, how to do this, how to do that, and some of it's helpful to give me tools to start understanding maybe where I can start making things a little bit better. But it also helped me to understand that procrastination and where it comes from is not just that you're lazy. It's not just that you're lazy, it's because you had all these past traumas. And it's a form of what they call, it's a form of stress relief, is what it is. When you procrastinate, you're preventing yourself from doing whatever it is it's about to stress you out. And so it gives you some form of relief, even though in some ways it creates more anxiety just because you have that thing that you didn't get done, right? So it's a kind of never-ending cycle. That procrastination and everything goes hand in hand with what you're experiencing, of why you've put it off. So if we go back to how our mind is wired primitively, it makes sense that our brain is trying to protect us from harm. That's just kind of what our brain is wired to do. So when we put ourselves in situations that we feel like is going to harm us, when we put ourselves in situations that we find unpleasant, we put it into our minds as being, it's a threat. It's a threat, therefore don't do it. Because we feel like we're going to be under an attack of some kind if we do that thing, right? So what is it that we can do? And this is where the mind shift part comes in, and being more positive along with a lot of things, guys, law of attraction, things like that. It's a part of spirituality and it's a part of personal growth. You got to change what's going on in here and the way you see things. It's hard. It really is hard. But you've got to start working on the way your brain sees things and making mind shift changes. So that's part of what you have to work on. And when you need to start doing stuff like that, you have to make a positive association with it. I don't think that I'm ever going to have a positive association with having to do tasks that stress me out. Don't think it's going to happen. And it might not for you either. So this is what my plan is to do here, is I'm just trying to get myself to at least a point of being neutral. That basically I'm going to kind of try and go into things and not let myself get triggered by them. I am going to kind of go into things expecting that it's going to be more of a task than I expected it to be. And I know that sounds a little pessimistic of expecting the worst, but honestly, I would rather expect the worst and expect it to turn into a big task and be prepared for that, rather than going into it and expecting it to be very little and it be that explosion of tasks. I'd rather be pleasantly surprised of, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But I should always expect that maybe, just maybe, things are not going to be simple. Now, I can't say that this is always going to be the case, but I think that working on it can help, because sometimes for me especially too, like there are things that are just dropped on you sometimes that you don't even expect, like you weren't planning on, and somebody maybe dropped something on your plate that you didn't really expect to deal with, and now that stresses you out. The best thing I can say in that situation is you can't live your life just always on edge waiting for the ball to drop, of somebody to drop something on you. But the very least you can just kind of try and get yourself to the same place with tasks of being like, okay, well, try not to get upset, try not to overact, just, you know, do it when you can. And there's, you know, this, I've heard of people who can make basically yourself not get triggered by things, to kind of, you know, let it just happen. I think it was something to do maybe with shadow work, but to just kind of accept your feelings. If you start to get triggered by something, to just kind of stop yourself in the moment if you can. And that's going to be hard, I know, but stop yourself in the moment and be like, okay, wow, I'm feeling this way. Why am I feeling like this? And just kind of acknowledge the emotions and realize what you're feeling without reacting on it. That's kind of the point that I'm trying to get to with that. The positive change that I could say with that is to, just get myself into a place where it doesn't bother me so much. I don't stress out about it so much because I just can kind of be like okay with whatever might happen, and just kind of be able to be neutral. That's what I want to be at with doing tasks, is just be neutral about it. Don't freak out, just kind of be like, oh, okay, well, that happened, so let's just deal with it. That's what I want to do. I don't want to get triggered by it. I don't want to get upset by it. That's what we need to work towards. If that's something you struggle with, that's what we need to work towards, I think, is being just kind of neutral. And as far as my, weight loss and stuff goes, I still want to work on that. And as you can tell, I haven't entirely been successful. I was eating better for a good period of time, but I realized that I wasn't really losing weight. I have PCOS, and that is something that makes it harder for me to lose weight. It's still not impossible, but it does make it harder because it affects my hormones, it affects my insulin, and it's just more difficult for girls with PCOS to lose, and it's easier to gain. So, that's a struggle that I'm dealing with, and I was eating better for a while, but it just turned out that I wasn't really losing the weight, and I realized that I guess, should be counting my calories and measuring everything out. I didn't think I was eating very much. I still don't really think I eat all that much. It's not like I'm eating all day, but I did get a baseline for my calories, and it was like, I don't know, an average was like 2,400 calories a day. Which isn't like entirely terrible, but I guess it's a little over. So, and that was for like a little over a week, I think, of maybe 2 weeks of me doing a baseline for it. And I think like my highest day was like 2,700 calories or something like that. So, it just depends. It varies. And that's when I wasn't trying. That's when I wasn't trying to eat better and everything. And I realized with that I think that I needed to add in exercise, and so I took a break from trying to eat better foods and stuff for a while so I could try and figure out an exercise routine, and that still hasn't really happened for me. For me, honestly, action is one of the hardest things, actually. I don't know about mindset, how hard that is. It's pretty hard, but action is the thing that's really hard for me. And with making a positive association with working out, because I don't really like to work out, and I know people say that you can get yourself to work out and you'll start to like it and stuff, but the thing is like I was talking about, you have to kind of make a mind shift change. And I think what I'm going to do is, whenever I start to work out and I start to get to that point of being like, I hate this, I don't want to be doing this anymore, I'm so tired, this is so irritating, I'm so tired, I really hate doing workouts, this is why I don't do it, I think that's the point that I'm going to stop. Like, as soon as that thought starts to come into my head, stop, cut it off. Because that's the thing, is I'm trying to make the positive association with it. I don't want it to be something that I don't enjoy, because that's not what we're running away from, guys. When we procrastinate and everything and we put things off, it's not because we're running from whatever reward we're going to get at the end of it. We're not running from, how good we're going to feel about after we get that task done. We're not running from, how good we felt riding our bike and the memories we made and stuff from doing that exercise. We're running from the struggle. We're running from the struggle because we don't like to struggle. Nobody likes to struggle through things, and we don't want to deal with the struggles and the complications, and that's what we're running from. So that's why we need to make a change to make that stuff actually more positive for us, so we actually maybe want to move forward with it. And so that's what my plan is with weight loss, to stop myself as soon as I start feeling that way. And hopefully with that I can just kind of, build up my stamina of, each day going a little bit further, each day trying a little bit more. so that eventually I don't even feel like I don't like it. That's my plan with that. Personal goals, doing crystal healing classes, I've been putting that off a bit, and I really need to get back to it. That's something I actually kind of want to do, but I've been putting it off because it's so easy for me to just be like, you know, I'd rather just enjoy myself and do this and whatever, so I don't really feel like doing that, and I'm not going to. And, you know, it's something else that I've got to work on with just the same way, with making it a positive association and taking action on it. Taking action is the hardest part that honestly I haven't figured out how to make that part work yet. So if anybody has any suggestions of how to make it work, how to keep to it, how to do it, would be great to know, because Nike is definitely not my motto to just do it. I mean, I can't seem to just do it, guys. I can't. I can just do it for a day, but I mean, that's about it. That's about all I can stick to. I fall off the wagon. I don't form these habits. I really just can't seem to form a healthy habit and stick to it and just do it. And I know it sounds so simple. It sounds so simple to just do it. And for me, it's so hard. So on that note, something I'm actually working on is making a spell for motivation, energy, and willpower. So I'm calling it a Muse spell. And hopefully that will help me get a little bit more energy, motivation, willpower in order to start doing some of these things. But it's definitely something I've just got to keep working on. And if you're struggling with the same, you've got to just keep working on it, keep working on yourself. That is a lot of what spiritual and personal growth is. Just continuing to keep working on yourself and keep trying. Don't give up. So make those positive mind changes, make it so you actually want to do it, and then maybe you'll actually stick to it, is the plan that I'm going for, guys. So I will keep you updated on if that works, but yes, that is what I think needs to happen, and things other people have said, and I'm just trying to figure out a way to make it work for myself now. And I hope that you can also maybe have understood a little bit more about where these problems come from and where you may need to also make improvements in your life to work towards your goals and tasks and things that you may need to get done that you keep procrastinating on and putting off. Because we're not lazy. We just need to work through our reasons why. We just need to work through our reasons why we struggle to do it. And work on getting more motivated to do it. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the day.